Haribo, Haribo. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Astotra Satat Systematas of Divine Grace is confounded Jai Chila A.C. Bhakti-vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavina Ki Jai Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Brahm Si Kahao Si Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gadadhara Si Vasadi Si Gaura Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai Sisi Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Syamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Sri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Si Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai Si Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakta Devi Ki Jai Simachalam Dham Ki Jai Gaur Premanande. Our glories to the summer devotees. Our glories to the summer devotees. Our glories to the summer devotees. Our glories to Sisi Gaura and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, chapter 2, text, is this text 8 or 9? Text 9. The title of this chapter is Contents of the Gita Summarized. Sanjaya Huvacha Evam Uktva Risikesham Godakesham Parantapaha Nayotsya iti Govindam Uktva Tushnim Babhuvaha. Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Uktva Risikesham Godakesha Parantapaha Nayotsya iti Govindam Uktva Tusnim Babhuvaha. Sanjaya Huvacha Evam Uktva Risikesham Godakesha Parantapaha Nayotsya iti Govindam Uktva Tusnim Babhuvaha. Can someone try? Sanjaya Huvacha Godakesha Parantapaha Our ladies? Any more ladies? Just one more for ladies. March with the men. All right. The men have defeated you? Okay. Thank you. Word for word translation and purport by His Divine Grace is confounded child. Srila A.C. Bhakti-vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sanjaya Huvacha. Sanjaya said. Evam does. Uktva speaking. Rishikesham unto Krishna, the master of the senses. Gudakechaha Arjuna, the master of curbing ignorance. Parantapaha, the chastiser of the enemies. Nayotshe, I shall not fight. Iti does. Govindam, unto Krishna, the giver of pleasure to the senses. Uktva, saying. Rusnim, silent. Babhuva, became. Ha, certainly. Translation. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, quote, Govinda, I shall not fight, unquote, and fell silent. Please kindly respond with a speed. Sanjaya said, having spoke thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Purport. Dhritarashtra must have been very glad to understand that Arjuna was not going to fight and was instead leaving the battlefield for the begging profession. But Sanjaya disappointed him again in relating that Arjuna was competent to kill his enemies, Parantapaha. Although Arjuna was, for the time being, overwhelmed with false grief due to family affection, he surrendered unto Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, as a disciple. This indicated that he would soon be free from the false lamentation resulting from family affection and would be enlightened with perfect knowledge of self-realization or Krishna consciousness and will then surely fight. Thus, Dhritarashtra's joy will be frustrated, since Arjuna will be enlightened by Krishna and would fight to the end. Om Gyana Timirandasya, Gyana Janasala Kaya Saksu Militam, Dina Tasmai, Si Gurube Namaha. Sajeta Yamanobistam, Stapitam, Yenam Bhutale, Swayam Rupam, Kadamayam, Dadatiswa, Padantika. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutalis, Madhbhakti Vedantas, Vitina, Manasti, Saraswati Deva, Gauravani, Picharine, Nebisis, Sunya Bhadi, Paswati, Disatardin. Vancha Kalpatarevya Cha, Kripasunabhya Eva Cha, Patitanam, Pavinam Biva, Vaishnavim Biva, Namo. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Si Advaita, Gadara, Sivatsari, the Gaur Bhaktabinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. So, this is the continuation of Arjuna's horrible situation of not being able to pick himself up with self-emotional courage. So we find in most cases people lack the self-emotional courage, and secondly, because of identity crisis. In fact, the root cause of all of Arjuna's problems were basically rooted in identity crisis. Now he has to do something for Krishna. Krishna has given him some instruction. And traditionally speaking, instruction from the spiritual master in most cases may not be very palatable. But the disciple has to execute the instruction, because that basically implies that the disciple will be empowered, because instruction is also encapsulated with empowerment. So initially Arjuna was not aware of this very basic foundation of self-empowerment. And therefore he was he was proposing different type of arguments based on logic. But then he found that he was simply reading with morose and dejection. And until Arjuna came to his senses, come to realize, well, I can't really be by myself. I can't do anything by myself. I have to recline on the mercy of Krishna to be able to prosecute these goals. It was only then that Arjuna picks up the emotional courage to be able to become a warrior of proof courage. And so the tendency is always there that something is difficult and we want to give it up. I remember some time ago when I was younger, so I visited a home, and our home they were hosting their spiritual master, husband and wife. And so I was waiting for this Swami to come out so I can greet him. And then when he was coming through the lobby, I heard the wife saying, Maharaj, that we cannot do. In other words, the instruction is too difficult for us. We cannot do. Oh yeah. Instructions are like the test of time. If you pass the test, you'll be upgraded. If you fail the test, again you have to risk coming back to retake that test. That's what happens in colleges and universities. The professor doesn't necessarily mean that he's capricious. He has the best interest of the student at heart. But then, before they get promoted, they have to give them some tests. So Arjuna was bewildered with confusion, and in that process, he was unable to make a very result-oriented decision. So, here he says, he declares to Krishna, "My Lord, I cannot fight. I cannot do this. It's too difficult for me." So the spiritual master may give us instruction, and then we wonder, why is he doing this? He doesn't know I cannot do this. So, talking about how the instruction of the spiritual master is encapsulated with empowerment, I remember, even in the life of Prabhupada received an instruction from his spiritual master to go to the West, print, whenever he has money, he should print books in English and go to spread Christian consciousness in the English-speaking countries, in the West. Krishna also acted not only to Arjuna, but he also acted as a guru to his own sakas, to his own friends. Even the friends who call Krishna Buddhi, Bayasa. Bayasa means Buddhi. And Subaru sometimes call Krishna Bayasa. That means real intimate relationship. When he wants to address Krishna. But you know what? Krishna instructed Subal one time when they were in the groups, "Hey Subal, go and bring Radharani here just now." And that type of instruction is like asking a hen or a chicken to pass stool without urine. Have you ever seen a chicken or a hen pass stool without urine? It does those two things at the same time. So Arjuna did not question, Subha did not question Krishna. "Hey, Bayasa, what is this? You asking me to do this? You know it is impossible." No, he didn't say that. He went ahead. Without any hesitation, he went ahead. He went to Radharani's home, Abhimaya's home. And as he was going, Krishna gave him some intuitive ideas on how to go about executing that order. I know what Krishna does. What Subal did. He had this, some brilliant idea came from nowhere. So he went to the gate, and then he saw Radharani's mother-in-law. She always stays there like a security guard. And what did he tell her? He said, "Mother, one of my calves strayed away. Can I check in your barn to see if it strayed there?" And Abhimaya's mother knows that this is one of Krishna's friends. So she gave him the permission, but with a warning, "Go into the barn, you check as quickly as possible, and I want to see you out of this place quickly." So Subal went in, and he went straight. He didn't go to the barn. He went straight to Radharani's chambers. And where he met all of these gopis, Radharani, and everyone was surprised in the chambers. "How did you get here?" No need for questioning. "Look, I came with a mission. Krishna wants you right now." And so Radha said, "But how is that going to be accomplished?" You know, that is very, very impractical. So Subal said, I have an idea. Take my dress. We'll exchange dresses. Take my dhoti and give me a sari. And Subal went to the barn and picked up a calf and brought it to Radharani. You use this calf just as if you dress in my Gopa dress, use the calf and put it on your chest so that your mother-in-law wouldn't see your breast. He wouldn't recognize you because that's my dhoti. And you put on my scarf, my hat. So Radharani did exactly that. And she was able to go out to meet Krishna. And Krishna was very happy because Subal accomplished a job or a service that, honestly speaking, it could be so impossible. So Arjuna here was completely mesmerized because all along he was thinking he is by his might and by his erudition in the scriptures. Arjuna was also very scholarly. This day, the generalissimus, and even in America, before you become a general, some of the generals have PhDs in American military. And they are so expert that they are also highly endowed. They study so much of metaphysics that in some cases, if the general is leading a troop, if there is a danger there, they will perceive it and they will retreat. Knowledge, practical and applied knowledge, is a means for salvaging the jiva from the clutches of material inebriety. So Arjuna, based on identity crisis, in fact, identity crisis is the root cause of all the problems in the material world. Every problem you can think of. Someone is thinking, this is my family member. This is my friend. This is my enemy. I shall favor my friend. I should favor my family member. And I will ignore the person who is not of my family. Or I will favor my friend. And I will ignore the person who is not my friend, who I perceive as an enemy. This is going on in the material world. And what is the cause of this? Identity crisis. Lack of proper understanding of what is the difference between the body and the life force within the body. Think about any wars on this planet, whether the First World War or Second World War or international wars. Identity crisis. Someone is claiming this is my land. And so Prabhupada, especially in the beginning, he will always emphasize, in almost a majority of his classes, he will talk about, you are not this body. You are not American. You are not a European. You are not an African. You are not Indian. Because he knows this is the root cause of the major problems on the planet. So Arjuna was also inflicted with identity crisis. He was thinking, these people, they are my family members. You asking me to kill them? Krishna, Govinda, I cannot do this. I'm done. I cannot fight. This service is too difficult for me. I cannot do it. So, we have to understand. You see, to repeat these stories is one thing. To implement, see, basically, we have three phases of knowledge. We have the theoretical basis, the stories and all the rest of them, and then we have the intermediate stage, which is like the commentaries of the acharyas on each and every chapter or text. And then the third stage is the application, where we integrate the theoretical frameworks and the commentaries and apply that in our own lives to be able to create a spiritual or devotional transformation. Otherwise, you see people quote, there are people, I know even little kids who know the whole of Bhagavad-gītā. 6 years old, they know the whole Bhagavad-gītā. Knowing the whole Bhagavad-gītā is very purifying. Reciting the whole of Bhagavad-gītā is super purifying. But even beyond that is the application of even one line of the Bhagavad-gītā verse. And so here we find how identity crisis is in action. Arjuna now gives up the idea of fighting. He is not persuaded. He felt Krishna didn't persuade him to do this job. So again, we can look at that from a different angle. If we want to ask someone to do something, to give someone an instruction to do something as an imposition, that is one thing, but to be able to give the instruction based on persuasive strategies, that is another thing. So you're a temple commander, and then somebody, you have to tell a devotee to do a particular thing. And if you're not able to persuade them, they may do that thing with a grudge. Yes, he said it to do that. But here is the implication. If they continue to do that service with a grudge, at some point in time, they could be traumatized. And so there are so many skills that we need to learn, because we live in communities. Community comes from two words. Commune, that means empathic communication, and unity. But Arjuna, Krishna advanced all of those strategies to Arjuna, to convince Arjuna, but because Arjuna's problem was resting on identity crisis, he could not take it. So we may have all the best of advice, but if we have not been able to clear ourselves from the identity crisis, it could be a problem. See, identity crisis is what makes someone to come to devotional service. It's what makes someone to take even to the science order of life. It's what even makes people to again go back to the stool that they have rejected. Identity crisis. Identifying with the body, with the emotions, with the mind, with the sensory modalities, with the impulses of the mind and the sensory modalities. This is the problem. This is the underground, this is the underground foundational problems of Arjuna. So it is important for us to understand that we're living in a community, and the community is spiritual knowledge based. A spiritual knowledge or devotional culture based community is rooted in understanding of Krishna and in appreciating the values of each and every one around us. Appreciating the services that each and every one is rendering. Because the devotees in our community are volunteers. And it's more difficult to actually to govern volunteers, to manage volunteers, especially in a faith-based non-profit. It is more difficult than having to manage employees in a Fortune 500 company. Oh yeah. So, we have to understand the challenges that are inherent in a faith-based non-profit like ours. And in trying to preach the message of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu, in trying to preach the message of Bhagavad-gītā, we have to be very exemplary. And the power of persuasion has to be cultivated. Otherwise, we go about ordering people and they feel repugnant. And then at some point in time, they will say, well, I'm done with living in a temple, you know. I'm going left. I need my freedom. But no one is free. Even out there, nobody's free. It's a matter of being able to understand how we are not these bodies. We are not the mind. We are not the senses. We are not the emotions. And that counts, this understanding counts a lot. An application of this understanding even is better. So that when we face difficulties in our services, we don't say, I give it up. I don't want to do it again because it's just too difficult. Yeah, we may think in that way, but what did Krishna say? We should persevere. Unflinching perseverance in our devotional endeavors is what counts. It's not that we're not going to face challenges. We will definitely face challenges. If even you're not in devotional life, you will face challenges. So Arjuna's case is a very simple example that we need to walk under the guidance of someone. The previous text talks about, taking shelter of a spiritual master. Because in most cases, our sensory modalities and the dictates of the mind alone do not create a conducive environment for decision making that are result oriented in the long run. So the whole of chapter 2 is just about, favorable decision making for higher accomplishments. Because in whatever endeavor, whether we are working in the corporate world or we are staying in a temple, we will be driven sometimes to the brink of disaster. Do we jump into the cliff or do we retract? That is best for us to make that decision. Otherwise, we come to the point of, hey Krishna, hey Guru Maharaj, I'm done, I'm going. I've seen people, they take initiation today, the next day they tell the Guru, I'm leaving. I've seen that. Yeah. So we have to understand that, this devotional service, we should not think that, it's just, why am I being asked to do this? Why is he telling me to do this? Why is she telling me to do it? See, I travel around and I go around to temples. I communicate with the young managers. I remember one temple, I was in one community in America, and this lady was complaining about how the brahmacharis, they're giving her hell. Just hell. Yes, so if you don't understand how difficult it is to deal with or to manage or to lead faith-based volunteers, it could be traumatic. And therefore we have to understand that Krishna is the goal, and if even someone is asking us to do something, they are not asking us to do that for their benefit. They are asking us to do that for the benefit of Krishna, for as service to Krishna. And we are here to perform devotional service. Means we have to work under the guidance of our spiritual masters, our immediate sikshas, and the temple managers. If we work properly, collectively, together, we will always attain the mercy, the silent glance of Srila Prabhupada and Nrsimhadev. So, are there any comments or questions? Yes.
What would you do if, as a leader or as a manager, if you feel that, sorry to direct the question to you, like, what should somebody do if he feels that he failed to inspire those volunteers that you mentioned?
If he failed to volunteer, he should try again. He should reinvent. Strategies that will enable him to inspire and motivate the volunteers. You see, in most cases, we have, in a movement, we have high-profile skilled personnel in all facets of life. Right now, we have all types of talents in our movement. The problem is tapping those talents for high productivity and quality performance. So we have, what is the problem? Is it how to lead your teams? We have people who are experts. I know of so many people in India, in America. I know so many people who are very skilled in all these areas. In the UK, I know so many people who are skilled in this area. The issue is that we lack talent management. And we feel, in most cases, we think we know everything. This is one of our problems. Somebody says in a movement for maybe 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, they think they know everything. I don't know everything. Let me be frank with you. Okay? Yeah, maybe a Swami, I may be a guru, I may be a doctor of management science, PhD in management science. I don't know everything. I'm not Krishna. I'm not omniscient. For instance, I'm not a cardiologist. If you have a problem with heart, I will advise you to see a cardiologist. So let's stop assuming that we are the be all and end all. We know everything, because you see, this is one of the misconceptions. They say sometimes we advocate this type of ideology that you're a devotee, you know Krishna, you know everything. Yeah, so we can always learn. Learning is a lifelong process. I learn from my disciples. I learn from my mentees, even young people. I'll give you an example. I was communicating with one professor. I was going to go to one country. So I was communicating with one professor, head of department for political science in a federal university. So she was trying to arrange a faculty presentation for me in their university. So I put her on a WhatsApp group with some of my mentees. And then I had one young mentee, but she's very talented, okay? I made a statement. I made a statement to this professor, and that mentee, she inboxed me to say, Maharaj, what you told this professor is very wrong. I said, so can you reframe it for me? Because, I don't know everything, okay? See, the way the silent generation think is different from the way that the baby boomers think. The way the Gen Z think is completely different from the millennial. Try to understand these things. We should not think we know everything. In our movement, we are people of different generations. You can't impose the mentality of a silent generation guy on the mentality of a Gen Z. It won't work. This is just the blunt truth. So yeah, there is always a way to help yourself if you find that you are not able to motivate your dependents. You motivate and inspire your team members. There are ways to do what to do about that. One of the things is that you get some advice from experts in the field of team leadership, team management. You don't give up like Arjuna. Hey, Krishna, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm done. Get advice. Get advice, okay? Get advice. We can always get advice from someone to help us out in a particular situation. Especially, dealing with team members and all the rest of them. See, I have my specialty in management and leadership. At the PhD level, that's my specialty. And I have over 35 publications in peer-reviewed journals. And so to have even one publication in peer-reviewed journals, you ask any professor, that's not a joke. So yeah, there are people who can help you. If you seek the help, you will get it. If you don't seek the help, nobody's going to come and impose themselves on you. Hey, I'm a specialist in this field. Okay, why don't... No. Even spiritual knowledge, you want to clarify yourself of some ambiguities. What does Krishna say? Tad vidi pranipatena. Make inquiries. Render some service. Make some humble inquiries. If you don't make inquiries, someone is not going to come and impose themselves on you. Most people will not impose themselves on you. I will reframe my language. Most people will not impose themselves on you. There are some people who may try to impose themselves on you, which is a violation of fundamental human rights. So, yeah, there are always people to help us. Oh, yeah. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
What could be principles to approach a fair-based voluntary community or like, let's say, company like team, which doesn't work with cash-based or like with a salary, but it's more volunteering? Yeah,
like I mentioned, volunteering is so important in modern day society that even in your resume for professionals, employers want to see whether you volunteered for some project, you volunteered for some time, or you're just after yourself, just yourself only. Volunteer means that you're doing this without the financial motivation. It's like devotion to Krishna, except that there is no Krishna concept in the volunteering system. In our system, the Krishna factor is there. So, but then, the way that we deal with volunteers, first of all, we have to do, first principle in dealing with volunteers is that you have to deal with the volunteers as your beloved, as your loved ones. What do you do to your loved ones? If you want to tell them to, if you want to suggest to them to do something, you do it with love and politeness. You will want to serve our loved ones. In fact, nobody will say, if someone says, I love you, and do not render some service, then that becomes what? Hypocritical lip service. So yeah, the fundamental principle is that we treat the people around us as the way we will treat our beloved. If you treat people like that, I tell you a story. There was a devotee who was like very, very difficult to deal with in the community. And I joined together at the same time with him. It was very difficult to deal with, and there were complaints about him all over the place. That I was like his only senior friend. So then one time, I spoke to him. That was the very last and first time I spoke to him. But although he was such a difficult person to deal with, and I thought our friendship is ending today. So what he told me was, Vasudeva, you are my friend. Whatever you tell me, I will take it. So first of all, if we are friendly with people, we may even talk to them in a harsh tone, if we are that harsh, but they will understand this is your mood. If we are not friendly, we are human conditioned souls, conditioned entities are by nature resistant to change. We are resistant to change. If you tell, say, a 2-year-old or 1.5-year-old, 18 months old, say 2 years old, agile child, hey Govinda, sit down there. That is the time Govinda will stand up. Resistance to change. Okay, I'm standing up, do your worst. This is the situation. So we are also having that energy. We tend to resist even instructions that are favorable to our devotional development. Yeah, we are wired. We are conditioned to it. So, except we are friendly and we're showing people that we have goodwill for them. Here's the issue. If someone understands that you have a goodwill for them, they will do anything you ask them to do. I asked one boy, hey, why are you coming to me for initiation? Your mom is initiated, your dad is initiated. Why don't you go to your parents and any of your parents' guru for initiation? And when he told me the reason, I was taken aback. That's why I told you earlier that I learned even from my own mentees. This is what he told me. He said, yes, Maharaj, I speak with them all the time when I meet them. They said, but none of them shows any goodwill. Sadly, this is going on in our movement. It's a third generation. This is a third generation. And it's about each time I come to you, first thing you ask me is about my school. How are you doing in school? You're passing your exams? You're going to school regularly? Are you having problems with your school? So people, they value our goodwill. If we ask them to chant Hare Krishna, a majority of these people will end up getting married. Majority, Prabhupada said majority of our devotees will get married. Majority of these people will end up getting married. And we ask some people to be volunteers. And we're not thinking about their social future. We are doing them a good thing by engaging them in Krishna consciousness. But a social disservice to their future. And that is why in some cases, you find people who come up to say, you ruined my life. We didn't ruin anybody's life. We have to be very much expert in guiding people on the path of devotion and to be able to inspire them so that In the future, they don't come to point accusing figures to us that we ruin their lives. They forget the merits they have in Krishna consciousness, their devotional merits. They will only be looking at the social vantage point. We should take into consideration because we are social animals. Who amongst us wants to live in isolation? I want to live in isolation. Tell me. Raise up your hand. I want to live in isolation. Isolation is one of the causes of suicides, especially in the prison. If a prisoner does something funny, you know what the wardens will do? They put him in the cell in isolation. And very quickly, they will commit suicide. So we need teams to work with. We need families to work with. See, we have a community, but the family is the nucleus of our community. Oh, yeah. See, we have produced, in a moment, we have produced wonderful scholars, wonderful Kirtanias. We have not produced one single sannyasi in our movement. Inside our movement. All the scientists you are seeing, they are from outside. We are from outside. Oh, yeah. Now, we should go to the next step. We should go to the next step. It's time to produce highly evolved souls in our movement. And that will depend on the householders. To be a householder entails a lot of responsibilities. To be a manager entails a lot of responsibilities. And for the community to function, for the international society to function very nicely, we should get to a level where we understand that our society's development is resting on the purity, the development of the family. Sometimes we neglect this. And this is a community. This is supposed to be a Grihastha community, a major aspect of it. So let's be real. Let's be practical. So back to your point, how to deal with people, faith-based, in a faith-based non-profit, treat each and everybody around you as if these are the very people you will end up your life with on your deathbed. If you're on your deathbed, you're helpless. The people around you, I need water. They are the ones who have to show the love for you. So we have to treat people around us nicely. As soon as we begin to think, well, I am the controller because I'm very powerful. Ishvaruham. Siddham. We are getting into trouble. So it's a very simple strategy. And I would advise, that people get to the basics. You see, sometimes we think, we're very, very advanced. And we forget that the basics are what constitutes the formation of our advancement. So yeah, your question is very pertinent. So think about a family that is revolving around love. That is how we can evolve. That is how we can engage the people. And when we do that, when we have that type of attitude, people have, high innovations. Because they will think of ways. They will think, this is my society. This is my family. This is my job. This is my company. The employee and the employer or the director of the company, they have different mindsets. But if we treat the devotees around us like family members, beloved family members, not just from family members, then they will see the society they belong as they have a sense of belonging, and they will be able to go the extra mile to do things that the manager even did not ask them to do for the purpose of expanding Krishna consciousness. All right, I think it's more than an hour already. Any last comment? Okay. Tomorrow is another day. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So tomorrow is 10. Okay.